As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to episode 49 of Zero to Hero. Today I'm joined by an awesome guest. She is changing the way that we look at getting in front of doctors, getting in touch with our care physicians, and especially for people that need it the most. Her name is Dr. Shelly Cooper. She is with Diversity Telehealth. So let's go ahead and bring her in. Dr. Shelly, how are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Oh, thanks for coming. So before we get into this whole thing, for everybody that's watching, go ahead and just tell us what is Diversity Telehealth?
Well, Diversity Telehealth is an organization whose mission is to close the healthcare disparity gap. The main reason that a lot of people of color and low-income folks aren't able to have access to care is because of social determinants of health, which I guess we'll talk about a little later. But the main focus of Diversity Telehealth is to bring access to care to underserved populations using technology.
Perfect. And talk a little bit about how it works. So something that they can get on through the phone or a tablet, right? And get in touch with the doctor?
Well, there are lots of different things going on with Diversity Telehealth. First of all, it's a consulting company. So what we do is we work with schools, we work with federally qualified health centers, kind of known as free clinics, and help them get telehealth going where they are. And then we work also with homeless folks or families in transition and offer free teledoc memberships for them. The third thing we do is I have a company that I started that's separate from Diversity Telehealth, and it's called Come On Now. And Come On Now is a software platform where people who need to see a doctor sooner can sign up, and then as their doctor has no-show openings, they're notified of those no-show openings and they're able to get in sooner to see their doctor for whatever they might need to see their doctors for.
That's so awesome. And it's really, the come on now part of it specifically is saving people probably quite a bit of a headache, right? I mean, that's something that is kind of a big issue within the medical field and kind of a time waster, right?
Well, it is. And not only that, but for chronically ill, medically fragile patients, it shortens the time frame that they have to wait to see a doctor. And also for doctors, especially those who are paid by the number of patients they see, it helps them recoup revenue from those empty slots that are results of no-shows or late cancellations. So it's a win-win all the way around.
Absolutely. That is so awesome. Well, Dr. Shelley, let's go ahead and get into it. So not Diversity Telehealth, okay, not Come On Now, but who is Dr. Shelly Cooper? Give us your
Dr.
elevator.
Shelly Cooper is someone who's tried to help people her whole life. It's kind of strange to speak in third person, but as a former educator, taught for 25 years and then decided to help people in the healthcare field. We're trying to bring products and services to underserved populations and close the healthcare disparity gap.
That's so awesome. So you're a giver, you're a helper.
I'm trying. It's a lifelong goal. We're working on it.
Right, that's all we can ever do, right? It's just do the best that we can with what we got going on. So that's awesome. So obviously, being that you are software based, right? Getting the word out there, not always the easiest when it comes to software. Tell us a little bit about your social media journey and how you've used that to, elevate Diversity Telehealth and get in front of more eyes.
Well, actually, I kind of cheat a little bit. In the early stages, I was posting everything myself. I would go to an event, try to take as many pictures and video as possible, and then try to post it. And then I got a huge backlog of things that I really wanted to share with people. And so I employed a social media manager. It's called Nice to Media. and located in, I believe, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, one of those Pennsylvania cities. And so Lakeisha Brown does all of my social media. She puts me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever I'm doing, she puts me out there. And could be how you found out about some of the things that were going on. But it's almost impossible for me to keep up with all of that and do my job too. So it's been a slow grind. Diversity Telehealth started in 2012, really got going in 2014, and then stalled for several years because people didn't believe you could really see a doctor without going into the doctor's office. But COVID opened people's eyes, and here we are.
Yeah, it kind of proved it for you there with
right.
people not being able to go in.
A lot of negative circumstances. People lost a lot of folks and got really sick. But that's the silver lining to it, to see that telehealth is a viable option.
Yeah, absolutely. It changed the world in so many different ways, right? I can see you're working from home today. I'm working from home today as well, which is one of those good things that did come out of it, right? So
that's true.
There was a lot of bad, but you know, there are some silver linings there, and ease of going to the doctor is one of those big things, right? I mean, you were way ahead of your time when it comes to telehealth, right? And then it was like, yeah, COVID hit, and all of a sudden everybody was doing
telehealth.
That
It's
was
like,
the only
really?
way to do it.
I've been saying this for how many years? And people would listen, and now people, telehealth. Oh yeah, I've been saying that. So, but now it's as long as people can get to the care they need, and we can fill those no-show gaps. That's really what's most important.
Yeah, which is so awesome. And I love what you said there about the social media. So you had all of this content. Okay, you had your job that you were doing, trying to, get Diversity Health, telehealth off the ground still, right? And it just became too much. But how much did your social media manager love all of the content that you had, and how did they go about using that once you brought them on?
Her group was wonderful. I just kind of regurgitated everything that had been going on all this time. And so she was glad to have the content. And still, as soon as something goes on, like even this activity, I can post it, give it to her, and she'll post it everywhere. So you're going to be shared everywhere that anybody follows me. And so having the opportunity to give all of that content to somebody, so it's not like in my mind all night, I should have posted this, or I should have gone here, or I should have told somebody. And there's just so much out there. It's overwhelming. So I've got a YouTube channel out there somewhere, I think. So I don't know. I hope it's decent. But I think unless you've got somebody doing this kind of stuff for you, it's almost impossible to keep up with it. At least it's been in my view, my experience.
Yeah, it's so funny. So J29, we also do quite a bit with social media management as well. So we definitely understand. Yeah, that's part of our big deal over here. So we definitely get it, and that's one of the reasons that we like to talk about it, because we know how time consuming it can be, right? And not only with posting it and staying regular, but learning, the different trends, the different times to post, all those different things that go into it, and then creating the content from the videos or the pictures, everything like that. So we know how tough it is. So when we see people doing it on their own, we're like, hey, good for you, because we know, right? But, that's why there's companies out there like us, and like the company that you're working with in Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania or
whatever. She's gonna kill me when she sees it. I know it. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, it's that's why people like us exist, that kind of get it, and that's what we focus on, putting our time into it, stuff like that. So that's so awesome that you have somebody, and they are doing a great job, right? I see your content everywhere. It is how I found you on LinkedIn, so I'm sure they're handling that for you as well. So that's so awesome. I'm glad that you said that. Now, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it wasn't as easy as it looks. I'm just from a generation where if you do something nice, eventually people will discover it, and then that's its own reward. And that's not the way it is now. You can't just hide your little light under a bushel and think that somebody's going to uncover it and say, oh, look at all the wonderful things that's going on over there at Diversity Telehealth. You've got to toot your own horn. It's not my horn, it's the company's horn. And that separation, I think, is what needs to happen for a lot of people who aren't using social media in a way that they could. You're not bragging about yourself. You're telling what the company can do for other people. So not sharing that information, I think, is a disservice to the company. So I definitely agree. More information needs to get out there through social media.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's kind of like the new word of mouth, almost, right? I
Right.
mean, people kind of another one of those COVID things, right? People stopped going out so much and stopped talking to each other so much, and we
Hmm.
jumped online to start finding things, and
True.
it's almost, for a while there, it was like I was jumping on social media to see if they were still open. You know what I mean? And like
Really?
it
Right.
was that, I mean, it was that crazy, right? For a while where businesses were shutting down left or
Hmm.
right. And it's like, I would jump on somebody's Facebook or Instagram page, and if they hadn't posted in a month or two, I was like, I don't know. Maybe I should give them a call and see if they're still doing business, right? Because you
That's
just never
right.
knew there for a while. But
Yeah, I had something I used to do years ago called my 6-month dead or alive call. If I hadn't heard from you in 6 months, are you still alive? And if you're not, why haven't you called me? Why haven't you contacted me? So, but
that's a good strategy. I should have put some of that in. I was just kind of trying to stay in my own world, I guess,
true.
or was too much in my own world to be worrying about anybody else. But man, yeah, that was a tough time. That's such a good idea to call and check in with somebody on a 6 month or even regular basis.
Yeah, it needs
That's
to be shorter now. 6 months is
right.
still a long time.
Right, right. Yeah, I guess that is the good thing about the social media is we just
Hmm.
jump on there and check it out, right? And the other thing, that we haven't really talked about is, when you go post a billboard, when you run a commercial, when TV or radio, right?
Hmm.
That stuff is
Expensive.
expensive,
Yes.
right? Everything we put on social media, right? Obviously, it can be pricey if you're running
Hmm.
ads and all that kind of stuff if you
Hmm.
want to do that, but if you're not, it's completely free to
Right.
post all that stuff up there,
Just your
right? So
time. Just your time.
yep.
Yeah.
Your time, right, exactly. And you're able to share that story too. I think that's kind of what people look for. So it's not really the toot look at me, right?
Hmm.
But it's, hey, look at this awesome thing that we're doing over here and how it can help
Right.
so many people. And definitely, yeah, don't be shy about it. Put it out there. That's the only way people are going to know about you anymore anyway. So
That's true.
um now every superhero, Dr. Shelley, they've got a defining moment, right? In all the books, all the movies. What do you think your defining moment is when it comes to your life and career?
Well, my life, I think, has been a journey that's pivoted. It's not been a straight line. So in undergrad, I studied business. I thought, oh, I want to be this great corporate person. And I got into business and I thought, not so much. I don't see how I'm really helping anybody by doing this corporate job. So then I thought, I've always wanted to be a teacher. I'd want to be a teacher since the day I was born, I guess. And so I went into education after being laid off from a corporate job. So it was kismet, I guess, and taught for 25 years. And that was wonderful. That was a defining moment where I thought, I'm going to help people. And this is what I'm going to do for my whole life. And then something about 25 years just felt like, okay, well, let's turn the corner on that. How can I still help people? And that's when I thought, hey, I can be in medicine without conducting medical services. So I'm not a clinician, but I do have a doctorate in instructional technology and distance education. How can I put the ability to see a doctor without going to the medical office into practice, so to speak, no pun. But what what I decided to do was, okay, let's do telemedicine. Let's tell people about the ability to see a doctor without going to the doctor's office. And that aha moment that took place back in 2012 was, I thought, oh wow, everybody's going to want to hear this. And then they kind of didn't, because there are a lot of crickets in there. But when it comes to now, the Come On Now platform, what happened was I was working with some clinics and helping them with telemedicine implementation, and my father passed away just unexpectedly in his sleep.
Mm,
And so I'd been doing telehealth, and we've been working with chronically ill, medically fragile patients. And a lot of these clinics had high no-show rates. And I thought, okay, how about if I combine the no-show rates with telehealth and chronic disease patients and make some type of way that those can all be helped at the same time. And so that defining moment was when I put together the Come On Now platform. It was formerly called Sure Show and now called the Come On Now platform. It just has I think, a snazzier name, and it's more
yeah.
inviting. And so that moment, it seems like it's been a journey that's going on for years and years, but we're tweaking it, we're pivoting, we're in more places. Swope Health Services, Mid-America Regional Council, Head Start, Excelsior Springs School District. We got other pilots. We're starting at Vibrant Health and other places in Southern Missouri. So we're tweaking it and we're making it work.
Yeah, it's so powerful what you said at the beginning. We kind of went by it real quick, but you go to school, you get a degree, you've got this corporate job, and you just weren't fulfilled still.
Right.
And
Right.
that's so interesting, right? I mean, because I feel like we're brought up from such a young age to think I've got to get a corporate job, I've got to make money, right? I mean, it was kind of like pounded into my generation's head,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, right? The only
Mm-hmm.
the only way to success is college, good job,
Yeah.
right, and go from there.
Right.
But man, if you're not doing what you love, it just doesn't matter,
It
right?
was it was hard, and I transferred from department to department thinking, I'm just not in the right area. Let me go to another, let me go here, let me go there. And the people were good. It wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good match. And so I didn't really think it was a good idea to stay somewhere if I wasn't being fulfilled and I didn't feel like I was doing what I was put on the earth to do, which is to help people. And that's it. So in any way, by any means necessary. So education, telehealth, the app. We'll see what else is on the horizon.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so many of these great entrepreneurial stories that I've heard over the last few months have started kind of at like a rock bottom place, right? And obviously being
Mm-hmm.
laid off is not the worst thing that could ever happen to
Mm-hmm.
anyone, right? But I'm sure in that moment it was like, oh my gosh, my world is crumbling, right? I
Well,
just lost my
actually,
job, laid off.
I I saw. I mean interrupt, but you just brought
No,
something
you're
to
good.
mind I hadn't thought about for a long time. I ran into my former manager at the library, and I saw him, and I thought, should I say something? Should I slash his tires? I don't know. I didn't. I didn't do any of that. But I thanked him because I told him if you hadn't laid me off, I would have still been there getting good money, miserable, and being unfulfilled. So I thanked him for laying me off. It was a process. I'm not going to say I got my pink slip and then that I went
Right.
and shake. It didn't happen like that. But the realization of sometimes you're in the wrong place and you need to get to this other place, but you're afraid to take that leap. I think Steve Harvey has a book called Jump or something like that. Hopefully somebody will know what it is, but leap or something where you just have to jump, and hopefully it'll be the right move, and if it's not, you'll figure it out. So that's what
It's
he
like
said.
it reminds me of the Denzel quote, "Fall forward," right? I don't know if
Right.
you've seen that speech, right? Because you're gonna fall. You know
Right.
what I mean? Hopefully you're falling, right?
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're not trying hard enough.
That's
But
right.
it's are you gonna fall backwards? You're gonna fall forwards. And I that was so powerful when I heard that. I was like, man, you're right. It's you gotta fail. That's how you gotta learn, right? So
That's
just make
true.
sure you're actually learning, right,
Hmm.
and going forward with that. But that's so good. Now, all superheroes have attributes, right? When we look at heroes, what attributes to you really define that hero?
I would say empathy.
Mm,
um, Superman always felt for the people, the underdog, and Batman always wanted to do justice, and Wonder Woman wanted to excel and right the wrongs that were going on. So I don't think you can do any of those things without having empathy for the people that you're trying to help. And so I would say empathy would be the most important attribute. Also, strength, because it is tiring, exhausting, and to be helping other people all the time can be exhausting without putting something into your own bucket. So yeah, having a lot of strength and tenacity and empathy, I think, are most important for a hero.
those are all great. I think, yeah, you're 100% right. I think empathy is that most important one for sure. And you know what? There's a lot of heroes out there, and I want to speak on that last part that you brought up there. There's a lot of heroes out there that are strong, but they're not always putting into their own bucket as much as they really should be from a human element, anyways, right? The
Right.
movies and the comic books are going to be different.
Hmm.
And I think it was Dan Smith that I brought it up with the airplane thing, right? When the
Hmm.
gas mask drops out of the airplane, you assist yourself, right? Before you help
Before
anybody else.
others.
So, all those heroes that are out there that are listening to this, I know you're working hard and I know you're tired. Take a second for yourself.
Hmm.
Okay. Get that cup of coffee that you want, or read the book that you've been putting off, right? I mean, definitely take that second and recharge that battery. Okay. We
Right.
appreciate how strong you are, but you got to refill that thing every once in a while. Those are great attributes. Now, if you had to pick a superhero that relates best to you, best of Dr. Shelly Cooper, who would that be? And tell us why in a couple sentences.
Well, the superhero, of course, would be somebody that's always expressing empathy, doing the right thing, trying to do too good. There's Superman, but is there Superwoman? Was there ever a Superwoman?
Yeah, I think there's like so I actually kind of have a beef with this. I think there's Supergirl. Okay,
See,
but I don't think there's a
I don't know.
Superwoman. That's it right there,
Yeah,
right? Why is it not
you never
Superwoman?
grow
Come
up.
on. I mean, geez, yeah. We got a 30-some-year-old Supergirl flying around. I mean, come on, guys.
That's true.
Let's do
That's true.
better.
But the one that comes to mind, and I had this debate with lots of other people, I think it would be Robin from Batman and Robin. Robin always played second fiddle. He never grew up, but he had empathy for everyone and he strived to be Batman. So striving for that next step, still wanting to help people, accepting where you are, but trying to do better. I don't know. There's so many. I can pick and choose from others. I actually have a superhero in my own family. My grandmother, who was born from an enslaved family, fought off people who were not wishing her good when she was 13, held a rifle on some folks that were trying to do some bad things to her.
Oh, wow.
In a covered wagon in the South.
Wow.
And went on to have 13 children, one of whom was my father. And so I think we have to have superheroes in our own families that we can touch and pull from. And those same personality traits are in us. And so if we see that bloodline, we pull some superhero from our own bloodline, I think it's a lot easier for us to identify with those people.
Yeah, I love that you went both ways there, right? So I love the family answers always, and that is an extremely powerful story. I think that's the first sidekick that has ever been mentioned, and I love that. And the reason why is the sidekick was never really in the spotlight, right? They never really needed the spotlight, but they were always there, you know, and they were always doing it. So I almost feel like in some ways sidekicks are almost more heroic, you know, than the actual heroes are. So that's such a good answer. I love that so much, Robin.
It's been hard. I've done quite a few interviews, podcasts, and other things. It's hard going online and seeing your face. It's like, wait a minute, what did I say? What did I do? I hope I didn't say something stupid or do something bad. But that's been a struggle, going from being in the background to people noticing some things that we're doing. And so I'm better as, even in any of the organizations I belong in, I don't want to be in the front. I'd rather let me do my job on the sidelines, make sure it happens, and I don't have to be in the front. I don't.
Yeah. I was just talking to my wife about that the other night as well. So she actually just took a job where she's a little bit more in the public eye, you know, and she's not liking it, you know, she loves the job, right? Don't get me wrong. But yeah, that attention, right? And being out there and presentations and all that stuff. And I'm that way as well. I honestly don't know if there's anybody out there that really appreciates hearing their voice recorded. I mean, there might be some narcissistic people that are, you know, real into that kind of thing. You're not alone. I don't think there's anybody that, you know, I don't like seeing my face out there on stuff either, so I totally get it.
It's
but
like,
you do great.
I had that hair sticking up, or why didn't anybody tell me? I had it on my teeth and my mascaras on my glasses, and I don't know. I think we're our own worst enemies sometimes.
100%. You're always going to be your worst critic for sure. And I can tell you from my perspective, you are doing amazing. I love everything that I see with you. It's true. It's authentic, right? I feel like I know you more, even though this is our second conversation that we've truly had. I felt like I knew you before because you're so real and authentic on your social media presence, right? That's who Dr. Shelly is, man. So don't change anything. You're doing great.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Yeah,
that's the goal. I'm trying to. It's not like anybody's paying me lots of money to do something.
Do you, right? Absolutely. Even if they were, you got to be you anyways. You know, don't take the Nike money without, you know, and lose yourself. You know.
That's right.
So, well, Dr. Shelly, thank you so much for coming on the show. You've been a wonderful guest. How can people keep up with Diversity Telehealth? How can they connect with you? How can they get involved?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. Also, you can check out our website at comeonnow. comeonnow.io for the software, Diversity Telehealth for anything related to the main company, Diversity Telehealth. We do have a 501c3 where we provide services for underserved folks that don't have the money, and that's at Diversity Telehealth Community Network. Those are all the ones. There's so many different ways to reach me. I would give my number. I guess I should, because they can always text me at 913.
Only if you want to.
I'll do the 913-710. We'll leave the rest for them to find out on their own.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, check out, jump on LinkedIn, shoot Dr. Shelly a message if it's something you want to get involved with. I know, coming from a corporate world, I know a lot of the corporate employees are always looking for a good 501c3 that they can take that free day and go volunteer for. So if you're one of those people that has one of those free days, wants to get involved with Diversity Telehealth, definitely get on there and volunteer some of your time to come on now in Diversity Telehealth. Well, again, Dr. Shelly, thank you again for coming on the show. You were awesome.
Thank you. This has been a great opportunity. I always like talking to you. This is fun.
Oh, thank you. Everybody out there, have a good day. Thanks for tuning in.